If you're a woman who is taking her health seriously and has been listening to podcasts and is trying to get strong and put on lean muscle, you have probably heard that you need to lift heavier weights versus the traditional lighter weights. I'm going to explain why. My name is Luis. I'm a health and fitness coach, and I've been focusing on women's health for the last probably 8 years. And my job is to try to break down these complex topics into an easy form to understand for you. So why do you need to lift heavier weights? What is happening to your body under the tension of heavier weight that doesn't happen under the tension of lighter weight? Well, that comes down to what kind of fiber your muscle is built. And a woman's body has, for the most part, a different type of fiber than a man's body. Let me explain. There are two types of fiber. There's actually three. The first type of fiber is called type 1, or slow twitch muscle fiber. The second type is fast, or type 2. The third is a hybrid. So women's bodies, for the most part, are built to last, which means that they need to endure longer. Well, what kind of muscle fiber lends itself to endurance? Type 1. If you look at a marathon runner versus a sprinter, they both run, but they each have completely different bodies because the demands that each places on the body are totally different. So when you look at a marathon runner, you're going to notice that they're very lean, very slender, not as explosive, long endurance. Versus a sprinter has more type 2 muscle fiber. This muscle fiber is a little bit more dense and is a little bit more explosive. A sprinter, for example, can run a 100-meter race on one breath. A marathon runner needs to be aerobic because that type of energy that is feeding the muscle, which is aerobic, which is oxygen, functions well with this. It's a type 1. Type 2 muscle fiber uses more glucose, so you don't need to be aerobic. Now, type 3, which are the hybrids, each part of your body is going to have, to some degree, one over the other and some type 3. For example, quads, glutes, and hamstrings tend to be mainly type 2 muscle fibers. Core and calves tend to be more type 1. So that's why it takes more repetitions to stimulate a type 1 group. So for example, when it comes to core, you generally have to do more repetitions to feel a stimulus. The same thing goes for calves. The same thing also, for the most part, works with glutes because the glutes are used all day. The calves are used all day. The core is used all day. So those muscle groups need to be able to endure and last long. So those are mainly type 1. That's why they respond better to higher volume, higher repetitions. And by high repetitions, I'm talking 15 and more. Versus pecs, quads, hamstrings, back, like the big muscle groups in the back, these are more type 2. These tend to be more explosive. These are the ones that are going to generate the most power. These types of muscle groups rely on sugar, which runs out quicker. This is why men can train for a short period of time and do pull-ups pretty easy, because we have more type 2, generally speaking. Women have more type 1. Now, let's say that I have a kid, and let's say that my wife was a sprinter. Because I have spent most of my time in weightlifting and in more intense sports, genetically speaking, it's likely that my child is going to have more type 2 versus, let's say both parents were endurance runners, the child is likely going to have more type 1. The offspring is trying to adapt based on the demands that parents are feeling and getting exposed to. Now, let's say you have a marathon runner that starts to weightlift and starts to sprint more. So now they're doing less slow twitch activity, long endurance training, and now they're doing more fast twitch activity. Well, that's where these type 3 fibers come into play, and they do like to adapt. There will be some muscle fiber that will stay as slow, and you're going to convert some of these type 3 into the fast. that is where women come into the picture when it comes to lifting heavier weights. Because a lot of women do start off with maybe Pilates or bar or even some weightlifting with a personal trainer. They're used to the high repetition. And again, by high rep, I mean like 12 to 15 reps or more. But they haven't been exposed to the type 2 type of lifting. This is where heavier weights come in. When heavier weights are happening and they're more explosive in nature and they're activating the bigger muscle groups, their bodies are going to start to transition some of these hybrid muscle fibers. That's why women start to notice more changes in lean muscle when they start lifting heavier weights. And by heavier weights, I mean a weight that is heavy for 8 reps. So your bodies will not get bulky because you naturally have type 1. It's not like you're gonna get completely rid of type 1 and only go type 2. Whenever you see crazy bulky bodybuilders, it's literally most of this, very little of this. So it's almost impossible for a woman to get bulky. I've never had a client that woke up overnight and looked at herself in the mirror and was bulky. That just doesn't happen. They slowly start to build muscle. You could always stop when you're lifting if you don't like the way that you're looking. But I have yet to encounter a client that started lifting on a program that was geared towards heavier weight. And sometimes they're scared. They're like, dude, I don't want to look like this. Like they send me pictures of the bodybuilders. I don't want to have quads like this. Why are you giving me movements that are targeting my quads? I don't want quads. It's just that certain exercises with heavier weights, yes, they're going to hit the quads, but they're going to hit the glutes and the hamstrings and the core as well. So inevitably, they just start putting on lean muscle because you have this type 1. And we're transitioning more of these type 1 to type 3. And that is why women respond to heavier weights by getting lean toned muscle, not staying scrawny and lanky. If you're curious as to how to structure your workout for more lean toned muscle, download my free ebook. It's in the description. It's totally free. I won't even spam you. I barely even check who submits their email. Download the guide, structure it for yourself. If you need any help, shoot me a DM. I'll attach my IG to the description. Have fun.